Hello my medallions, welcome back to my channel. As you saw in my last video, this is my new hairstyle and a lot of people have been asking where did I get it done and all these other questions, but I actually did it myself. So you know I filmed it just so I can show you. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Alright, let's get into it. As you can see, I have a face mask on, so don't be alarmed. I like to do this when I am multitasking. Half of my hair and the back of my hair is braided already. I'll just show you how I separated everything. I did it in 3 sections. So this braided section is the same as this unbraided section. And then in the back is all braided as well. So I'll show you how I did some of the braiding on the unbraided section, of course. But it's pretty much strategically where I can part it and such. But it's not really that precise because it's not really about the braids. This is what the whole section looks like unbraided. I have a lot of hair, you guys. So this took a while. It took about a total of 4 to 5 hours to do this. So just have some patience. I started around the ends and the perimeter. So I started right here by the ear. You want to get a nice little section. It doesn't have to be perfect. Something that's more so of like a box or a triangle shape, because this makes it easier for the hair to form. And when I say form, I mean like when all the hair is complete, the way that it sits on top of one another, this, I don't know, I just feel like works. So you take your extra extension hair, something really small like this, separate that piece into 2 sections, then you put that extension hair on both ends of it, putting it flush to the hair. What you're going to do is wrap one side of the extension hair with one side of your hair, and this turns it into 3 pieces, which you can begin to start to braid. Sounds kind of hard, may even look a little hard, but it's really not. I didn't even know how to do this until I tried it, and I just did it, and it's actually how you do a box braid. So yeah, it's still very flexible in the root so that you have room to put the crochet when it's time, and eventually you want to seal the ends. I'm actually using a leave-in conditioner to kind of maneuver and manage my hair as I'm braiding. So that is what I put towards the end. Then you want to separate the extension hair into all 3 pieces of the braid so that you can bring this braid even longer to make sure it doesn't unravel, especially where your hair ends. Then you can turn it into a 2-strand twist, which is going to be much quicker, more so than braiding all the way down to the bottom. This is where I'm starting to figure out where I want my side parts to be. They're not going to be perfect parts. You're going to do the same thing, separating into 2 pieces. Again, wrap one part of the hair with the extension. Immediately just turn it into 3 pieces. The 3 pieces are going to be pretty much, one is just extension hair, one is just your hair, and the other is a mixture of the extension hair and your hair together, all the way up until the end, when you turn it into kind of the same parts of all 3. The more you do this in a downward motion, as like pulling it downwards, is going to end up a straighter plait, and it's not going to have any weird kinks or knots in it. So you want to make sure you're doing it straight down. And to start separating that middle part and breaking up that space a bit, I made a section over there. Some of my sections are larger than others because I'm planning to add more than 1 crochet into some areas, not specifically this one, but that's going to be a section. And then as you can see, I did 3 over here in a diagonal section. So around the temple areas, you want to have a nice thick section because you don't want it to be too thin there and pull at your edges. That's a no-no. So yeah, I'm just following off of the previous section and keeping it in that same diagonal. I'm going to say half my head was about a good 2 hours, and I was focused. I wasn't even listening to music, but I'm going to take off this mask as soon as I'm done. Now I only have 1 left, and of course my body is aching because I did this non-stop. And again, Don't mind the parts, don't mind the quality of the braid. These are actual box braids, which I think are really cool. I might do them again one day, but nicer. So this is the turnout, and as you can see, there's a nice decent middle part, a nice side part. I'm going to use the lock method, so I have a ton of leave-in conditioners, oils, and creams to really hydrate my hair before I put in these locks. So I'm going to use the Shea Moisture lotion. This is the castor oil line. I've mentioned this before on my channel, and I'm just going to put that around every single braid, and followed by this herbal oil, the Africa's Best. This is just going to lock in that leave-in, and I'm putting that all over my fingers, but I'm just going to put it on the tips of my hair. It's going to kind of travel the moisture into my root without putting it directly in my root, because if you put it directly in your root, it's going to be too oily and get dirtier much quicker. And then to top it off, I'm going to use the Caviar Alterna CC cream. This has a ton of benefits. I use it all the time on my hair, and I'm just going to coat all of that. So this is the lock method, which means leave-in, oil, and cream. You can do this as many times as you need, and make sure you get a little bit of that cream into your roots and around your edges as well. You want everything hydrated and prepared for the locks. And this is what it's looking like. I was tired for today, so I ended up rocking it like this. I had somewhere to be that night, and it was a cute little style. So for this next day, I had plenty of time to do this before work, and I'm pretty much showing you how I achieved the crochet locks. They come pre-locked already in this coil, and I've never done this before, so I was kind of confused on how to begin. And so pretty much you want to put the crochet needle through your hair first. Be careful with this, make sure it is closed. I had some trouble in the beginning, but it's easier if you just make sure it's locked, slide it through, open it up to put the loop from the lock on there, and then you want to close that completely so that you can bring it through the braid and continue your process. So once you get it through, it's pretty easy. You just bring that whole entire hair through the loop, and you can knot this as tight as you want it to be, but I didn't make mine too tight. Then now is where you're going to kind of figure out which way the coil is naturally moving. All of my coils ended up going towards the back, like away from my face, all the way around my entire head. So you can keep that in mind. It went to the left of me, but you want to make sure this is not twisting with your braid. You want to make sure it's coiling around it. So you unravel it a little bit and then cover the braid. And once you get the hang of this, it's a lot easier. I timed myself at first, but then I stopped because I realized it was no longer about how long this was going to take. I just wanted to do this for myself and do it correctly. So I had friends in the room and I was just busting it out. So I got pretty much all of that done. You want to do towards the back and the sides first because it's much easier. I think you handle the ones that you can't really see, especially if you have a mirror in front of you like how I do. So I did all the ones that I can kind of feel for, and then I started bringing it towards the front. So I was focusing on that whole left side of my head. Even though all of this is sped up, as you can see, I'm moving through this much quicker, but you're just gonna kind of switch hands, you know? You're not twisting them together. One is wrapping around the other, so you could always push it up if you're skipping gaps, if you're moving fast like I am. And this is where I started not worrying about how tight it would be, because I realized they would all unravel eventually, and I'm gonna secure them later anyways. So that is what it's looking like so far. I actually have this hairspray I wanted to use, so I was just testing it out and seeing the color, and it's actually, it doesn't transfer, which is nice. So I'm definitely going to use that in the end, you'll see. And while I continue to show you a few more of these, I'll just let you know that this is a style for me, but it's also more importantly a protective style. So I'm doing this to keep my actual hair protected from the harsh winter, the cold air. And so if you're wondering why I decided to do it, it's for the style, but it's more so because I'm trying to protect my hair as well. And I have a whole playlist of protective styles that I've been doing so far here on my channel. So I hope you go check that out. Pretty much, this is one pack of hair. And so I have 6 packs, you guys. Now I'm going to move on to the second one. And now I'm going to move on to the third. Be sure to be easy around your temple area. This is where your edges are normally most tender or will get tender as you get older. And I'm just trying to protect my edges because I still have them, thank God, thank the Lord. So around this area, as you can see, I'm not pulling much of my edges into it because I'm not worried about that. I'm going to use, edge creams and stuff like that. So this is half my head and a little bit of the back as well. And now, boom, I have one left. Hallelujah. One left. Okay, so one last time, let's go through this. Put the closed crochet needle through your hair very gently, then attach that hair onto the loop. I know I'm moving super fast and I'm explaining it slow. Make sure there's no flyaways getting attached to that. You're gonna tie that knot and again coil it around. At first you saw that I was being more precise and tight with this, but here's where you can see I'm just like, you know what, just cover the hair because the hair unravels when you start playing with the coil. So this is what it's going to look like when you have every single braid covered with the locks. This is 4 packs, if I'm not mistaken, 4.5 maybe. I'm going to put more into the back later on as well, especially in areas that I have larger sections. So don't worry about that. I'll add more because I have 2 extra packs. And here's what it looks like fully secured, which means that I went back and made them tighter. So I didn't want it bulky like that. I used a blow dryer on the highest heat. This one's from Conair. And so how I went about doing it, it's not actually hot. I'll just demonstrate how I did it. You want to make sure it's nice and twisted. There are no gaps. You push the hair up until it starts to coil a little bit. That's how you know it's nice and firm. And this also extends the length of the hair. These packs of hair were about 18 inches. So when you do this, it adds length. And they ended up being around 22 inches. So just keep that in mind if that's not what you want. But you're going to twist this all the way down. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you're going to start to see all these little flyaways. Those are going to melt into each other and start to create a more very authentic kind of lock. It's going to look a little bit more realistic, but it's also going to be more neat than having it just in this huge coil that is like sort of undone. So, and the ends will be a little bit longer and thinner as well, even though I'm going to go back and curl those. But here is where I'm showing you I'm adding more locks into areas that are larger because you don't want to have those weird gaps like that. So slide the coil underneath any of the other ones that you may have. Just put the crochet needle right underneath, and then you can make sure that you have the right one. Just falls into place because it's not unraveled, so it's not going to be too thick. It'll blend in with everything. Now with the curling process, I already have some pre-curled. I'll just show you. I'm dipping it into hot water because, as I said, did I say this? It's hot water set hair. It's synthetic hair that sets with any heat. So that's why I use hot water and a blow dryer with this to make it kind of form the way I want it to. I decided not to use fire. You could also use like a lighter to do certain things with this hair, but I just used my blow dryer and some hot water. I pretty much grabbed like random strands so that it would be really irregular. I didn't want to curl every single strand, so it just looks a little bit more bohemian-ish if it's just random. Some are higher than others because of this, and I'll just show you again. If you unravel it, I only held it in the water for about 15 seconds, nothing too long, because I didn't want the curls to be too tight of a curl. I wanted them to fall a little bit more natural. And then here I'll show you how I started it. So pretty much you just want to pull some from the back, from the front, just random strands, and you wrap that around this device. I forgot what it's called, but I use it all the time for this. You dip it into the hot water, you let it sit, let it marinate a little bit, and you can kind of wring it out. But once you let it air dry for like a minute, then you can maneuver it like this. And here's the hairspray I'm bringing back. This is called Back to Blonde. I got it from like Walgreens. This is what it looks like all over. Yes, it's like a dirty mop. That's what I'm looking like right now. But the reason for me doing this is because I wanted it to look a little bit more natural. That silver was just too cool tone for me, and I wanted it to look more like warm because it works better on my skin tone when it's warmer. So I wanted a warmer gray. I wanted it to look like I had blondish dreads that I tried to dye gray, and it's just a mixture. So I ended up going to work just like this, and when I came back from work, I sprayed a little bit more because we had more at my job, and that can that I had didn't last all over my head. So I sprayed more when I went to work, and I also sprayed some black into the root of my hair. But I really hope you enjoy this video. I encourage all of you to learn how to do at least one style for yourself. Challenge yourself. It was so worth it. Now that I know I can do this, so many people have been asking me to do it for them. You know, it's an option. I can if I want to, but I was just more happy to know that I can do it myself, and it ended up turning out really, really good, just what I imagined. So thanks so much for watching. Love you much. Mwah. Bye.
I want the world to know. I got to let it show.
Have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Either way, you're still saying the same thing, right?
No.
No, you're not. It's better to have and not need.
Yes.
Yeah.
You would need, if you needed something and you don't have it, what good is that gonna do?
Okay, Mom.
Right.
You got it?
Yeah.
No, you don't.